All right, guys, let's talk about the Ottawa Senators. After a very, very positive 24-25 season last season, where they finished in the first wild card spot, 97 points overall, only a point outside of third in the Atlantic. It was a much improved season and something that Ottawa Senators fans have been hoping for over the last few years. In saying that, they did get sort of kicked out in the first round, but some very positive signs in that Leafs series from them. And it's only looking up, I think, moving into the 2025-26 season for them. So let's move over to Jaden and get him to take you guys through the projected lineup so far.
Yeah, so just going down the roster, we'll go through the projected lineup because it's pretty much the same. So your first line, you got Kachuk, Stutzler, Zetterlund, Perron, Cousins, Batherson, Grieg, Pinto, Giroux, Cousins, Eller, who is one of the only additions up forward, and Amadio. Defense, you got Anderson, Zub, Chabot, Jensen, Clevin, and Spence, which was traded from the Kings. And then your goalies, most likely Ormark and Marilainen, considering how Marilainen did. But you do also have what's his name, Sogard, there as a depth. Um, what do you say? Like notable misses that they lost during the thing was Anton Forsberg. Who else? I'm just going off the top of my head. Adam Gaudette
Gaudet.
and Travis Hamonic, I think it was. Those are pretty much the big losses there in regards to free agency. All in all, not many moves. Team didn't really need to make any moves. They needed a right defense. They brought one in, and they needed some scoring depth. And Lars Eller doesn't score over 20, but really decent for like a fourth line pick. So honestly, all in all, really well done off season. Strong team. It just needs to perform on the ice. It's really good on paper. It just needs to transfer to the season.
Yeah, 100%. I think they didn't need to go out and make any splashy moves because their team's already pretty well set. And I know I think they're sitting at about 2.7 mil, but they need a contract to come off. So they'll probably be about 3.5 mil cap space at the start of the season. But there's no point in spending that money when you don't need to. You may as well hold on to it for trade deadline acquisitions. As we know, it only increases throughout the season. But yeah, you run through this line and the Lars Eller pickup, it could be a massively underrated pickup that because I know he's not going to play a huge amount of minutes. He's going to probably be the fourth line center. He'll move up to maybe third line center if there's any sort of injuries to that top three center pairing. But yeah, you look at this team up and down that lineup, and it's very strong. Like Stutzler, um, Stutzler, Cousins, and Pinto as your first, second, and third line center is just absolutely phenomenal. Like, I know, Pinto's had his ups and downs and a few, issues throughout his career, but he 21 goals last season, after returning from the sort of suspension and getting a full season under his belt just about in the 70 games. But that's a player that, in my opinion, he's only 24 years old, could go on to be a first or second line center with the potential he's got, and he's essentially going to be playing third line minutes for them. So like this Ottawa team is just stacked, and you look at their goaltending with Linus Ullmark. We've said it for years. The biggest issue that they had is, yep, their defense needed work and needed improvement, but it had a solid foundation there. The biggest problem is they didn't have a goaltender. And now they've got Linus Ullmark, who's absolutely phenomenal and was huge for them last season. But on top of that, they've got a young goaltender in Marilainen, who, in a small sample size, has played absolutely outstanding. It's going to be a big question mark this season on whether he can back up properly for Linus Ullmark. But I tell you what, you get that performance that you got from him in those 12 games, 925 save percentage. You get that sort of performance out of him, or even a 915 out of him, 910 out of him over the course of 30 games. and this Senators team's probably going to be top 2 in the Atlantic at that point.
Yeah, yeah. Look, it's a very strong lineup. Only thing that concerns me is maybe like the coaching style or something like that, because on paper the team's really good. It just hasn't been consistent on ice.
Yeah.
It's been one of the biggest drawbacks for the team is consistency, and I think if they shore that, I do think they have a really fun game plan when it works, and it's fun to
Mhm.
watch.
Yeah.
And I think with the depth pieces they've added with Spence, Eller, I feel like it's shoring that up. The only concern for the goaltending is if Allmark, continues that, some injuries. You've really only
Mhm.
got Marilyn and Spogard. I know they got Jackson Parsons entry level contract goaltender. He's only 20 though.
Mhm.
Um, but that's my only issue is if Allmark goes down, can Marilyn, run 40 games and be that consistent
Yeah.
goaltender?
And that definitely would be a question mark because obviously them giving up or letting for Anton Forsberg go, not that he was, anything phenomenal, but he was a very solid backup that could get you, probably play 30, 40 games for you because with Allmark, the biggest issue here is if you look over his last 4 seasons, he's played 41 games, 49 games, 40 games, 44 games. Can he be that player or that goaltender that plays 55, 60 games and only needs 20 odd games from his backup? I don't know because he's never proven that. He's never shown that he can do that. In the NHL, he's never played more than 49 games is the most he's played. And when you've got a young player like Merrilainen, you don't really want to be exposing him to too many games. But yeah, the big question mark is going to be can Allmark stay healthy? Because if he can't, Merrilainen's going to need to wear that, and putting 30 to 40 games on a young goaltender like that, it could come back to bite them. But in saying that, like it all comes down to health. If Allmark's healthy, I think this team's fine, and will go very far. I think they're almost guaranteed a lock playoffs spot at this point. I can't see who knocks them out in the Atlantic. I know you've obviously got Florida; they'll be strong again. Tampa's probably going to be strong again, but outside of that, I honestly can't see the Leafs knocking them out of the top three, or Montreal or Detroit or anyone like that. I don't see Boston bouncing back hard enough to knock them out. So I think this team's guaranteed a top three spot, and it's just going to be about can they mature enough from the games they got last season because they played quite well in the playoffs and they could be quite proud of the showing that they had up against the Leafs even though it didn't start off so great. They bounced back quite well. They showed some resilience, and they got some much needed playoff experience. Now the next question is this young core is now moving into its mid-20s, which is absolute prime for them to start taking next steps and moving through the playoffs. So that's in my opinion, I'd have these guys as a lock. And the thing that you're wanting to see next as a Senators fan is a series win. Is can this team be
Hmm.
mature, show up in the playoffs? Because I tell you right now, this team plays playoff style. That's the big thing about it,
Well, they
Brady
got the
Kachuk.
bodies for it, like the Kachuk. Yeah, they've got a Kachuk. Like,
Yeah,
like they got the bodies for it. So, yeah,
exactly right.
yeah, like Kachuk,
Um,
Perron.
yeah,
They can throw their bodies around. Drew's pretty good as well. So,
yeah.
yeah, I agree. Like they are kind of built for playoffs as well.
Mhm.
Throughout the whole entire lineup, I really do think that Spence pick up because of what they traded away. It was just a third and a six. I think that's the steal
Oh,
of the year probably.
yeah.
And will turn into something great for them this year and going forward. And
Hmm.
yeah, I think that might be the tipping point for this team is just that extra right depth
Hmm.
that can play minutes and help the other
Yeah.
guys up top. Yeah, only other notable things there wasn't really many staff changes. Like the associate general manager Ryan Bonus moved on. and then a new director of player development in Sam Gagner. So ex-player there, which could be good, but you won't see the fruits of that for a few years because of that's how long players take sometimes. So honestly, not too many moves. Didn't really need to make too many moves. They have a little bit of money to spend. They have a lot of draft picks still to play with as well. So I could see some stuff happening at the deadline and adding
Yeah.
maybe like a Patrick Maroon when he was at Tampa and St. Louis esque at the deadline. I could see that
Yeah,
happening.
they've geared themselves up perfectly just to get to the trade deadline and basically fill any gaps that they need at that point because I think they're pretty stacked all down the forward line. I know their defense doesn't look, you know, overly that flash, but Jake Sanderson's a phenomenal defender. Thomas Chabot is very good. Artem Zub, Nick Jensen are more than serviceable, and they can eat minutes. And Clevin and Martin Parlow are going to probably rotate from that seventh defender, and they're fantastic for that role with Jordan Spence now coming in and giving you that additional defender that is going to be able to eat minutes. He's offensively gifted. He's just going to fit in really nice. And it doesn't have to be the most flashy blue line. It's just got to be a blue line that can A, defend, and B, do its job. So just get out there, defend, put on the body, and if you can get a couple of like nice flashy puck moving defenders, as we know Sanderson can do that, Jordan Spence can do that. Like they've got it. They might not be top 10 in the league defenders, but they're fantastic defenders either way. So for me, these guys, I've been hot on these guys for the last probably 3-4 years, and it's finally coming on. Like I swear, every year I'm like, dude, they're
It's just that
geared.
consistency.
It's just that consistency, yeah. And I was so happy to see them finally take that next step, make the playoffs. And I think that, yeah, these guys are pretty much set to be a playoff team for the next 5+ years and potentially go on a deep run, especially if they can put it all together and get that consistency going. Management, I think, have done a really good job in building this team out. They've done an even better job by giving themselves some wiggle room and some cap space going into this season, knowing that if they have a good season, get themselves right in, that top three, that they can go and fill any holes that they need to at the deadline because they're going to have cap space for it. They might even be able to go out and get a really good, it might be a top six forward. It might be an improvement on defense. Like who knows? But they've given themselves the cap space to do that. So yeah, to me, I think the sky's the limit for this team. And I really do think series wins on the card for them this season,
Yeah,
potentially more.
yeah. I think it's you're probably looking at passing round one or bust type season just because of how well this team's built. And yeah, I think like you, I think top three. If not, like there will be like a point out of the top three in the wild card spot. Like it will be that close. But I
Mm.
feel like they're built for the playoffs. I feel like they're built to make the playoffs. Honestly, I can see this team passing the Leafs, passing even Tampa, um, and Florida. Maybe in the regular season, maybe not in the off season, but like the postseason. But yeah, all in all, really good team, really well built. Not many moves this year. Didn't really need to make any many major things. They've addressed the needs they needed in depth, scoring, and right D.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, I'm really high on them. I just don't want to be burnt like I've been burnt like the last few seasons, where they just like they'll look like you know God's child type thing, winning every game, and then all of a sudden they do a Detroit and then just disappear for 20 games.
Mhm.
It might be an Atlantic thing. I don't know, but
You're not
but
wrong on that one. Ottawa, Buffalo, and Detroit have all had the history of doing that.
yeah,
And luckily for Ottawa fans, they finally pulled it together for long enough to actually make it happen. I guess I want to put this question to you. if you could have one wish for the Ottawa Senators in terms of you could just pluck a player, any player, but just to fill a hole in this team, what like are you looking for a goalie? Are you looking for a specific defender or a middle six forward? What do you think would just push these guys to the next level, or what do you think would shore this lineup even better?
Yeah, someone that plays postseason that can in like generally regular season like 20, 25 goals. So yeah, I'm looking like a second line, um, like a winger, because I think that their centers are pretty good through the middle. So I'm probably looking like a second line winger, and then all those shuffle down, and it just looks that much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but someone that a little bit more physical as well that can play. So you're kind of thinking of what's his face who won the Conn Smythe. I'm forgetting his name, but those type of players, and
Mm.
like
Oh, Sam Bennett.
yeah, Bennett. Like your Kachucks, your Bennetts, people that will play hard against the wall and
Mm.
wear down your opponent, and that's going to wear down Tampa, Leafs, and maybe not the Florida, but those are your big rivals, and that will wear them down, and it almost guarantees you into second round onwards. Um, Granted, you're leaving big question marks on the goaltending there if
Yeah.
Mark gets injured, but I feel like that's to win a cup. That's what I would do
Mm.
with the money.
Yeah.
I guess my question to you then is, what do you do, and if you couldn't do a second line winger?
If I couldn't do a second line winger, if I couldn't do a second line winger, I actually agree with you. So my two things were goaltending, improvement, or a second sort of like a gritty player that'll play in that middle six.
Yeah,
Um, because I actually quite like their defense. I'm not too worried about it. Unless they have like two or three injuries, but two or three injuries to any team's defense is going to have them in trouble. Um, but my biggest worry with them is that goaltending if Linus Olmark goes down. In saying that, to your point, and why I do go for that middle six more is because if Linus Olmark is injured and out long term, they're probably not going to have the goaltending to actually go too far in the playoffs anyway. So I like there's two scenarios here. You're either going to get Allmark healthy and in the playoffs and just kills it, um, or Merrilainen comes in for Allmark because he's injured and plays absolutely out of his mind and takes him, to second, third round or whatever. So I don't, as much as it would be fantastic just to get that true out and out backup, that true out and out backup's not really going to help you in the playoffs. He's only going to help you in the regular season. Whereas in that top six gritty forward, is going to be that one, as you saw with Benner, as we see throughout the season, seasons gone by, those gritty players that just turn up come playoff. I think Ryan Hartman for Minnesota was a prime example. Did basically nothing all season, and then he comes out in the playoffs and absolutely kills it. Um, and it's like, well, where the hell was this like for the season? They're just those special players that you need in the playoffs. So yeah, I agree with you. But if I couldn't get that, I'd definitely be shoring up that goaltending with a true backup, so that you don't have to put so much pressure on Maryline and to really step up and take that next step, and you can have a true backup that you can depend on. That'll get them through the regular season.
yeah. Alrighty, I guess we'll leave it there. So yeah, let us know what you think of the Ottawa Senators, their prospects for this year. Do they make the playoffs, and if so, how far do they go? And yeah, let us know what you think of our analysis and thoughts. But yeah, till next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below. But we'll catch you guys.
See you guys.